Hello and welcome to the Hot Copy Podcast. Today I'm very excited to have my guest Andrew on the show. Hello Andrew.
Hello Kate.
Hello. Andrew and I are going to be talking about dodgy SEO. 6 dodgy SEO tricks you should seriously avoid. So, as I said, today we have Andrew Razzo on the show, and I've got his little bio here in front of me, so I'm going to read it out. Andrew is the co-founder and general marketer of Online Marketing Gurus, an award-winning SEO company in Sydney. Andrew writes about SEO for publications such as the Content Marketing Institute, Jeff Bullis, Search Engine Journal, and lots of other ones as well. I saw an article from him in SEM Rush's blog the other day, which was very good. He was recently shortlisted for 30 Under 30, and he has an awesome hairdo. So if you are listening to this on the podcast, I highly recommend you go and check out the video so you can see Andrew's awesome hair. Was that a good introduction, Andrew? Did I sum you up well?
Yeah, that was good. Fantastic, Kate.
Okay, so we always like to start the show with a little bit of interesting SEO news, like what's been going on in the SEO world. So what have you spotted in the SEO world recently that you think will be interesting for our readers, listeners?
Yeah, there's been a few things that have just come out. I guess the main update that's been out recently was the update to looking at exact traffic volumes of keywords in the keyword planner. So, when people are going to do research, they go in the keyword planner tool, they look at different ad groups, look at different keywords that people are typing in. And they want to know how much, search volume keywords are actually generating. Now there's an update that's been released a few weeks ago that doesn't actually show the exact search volume of each keyword, which has obviously put a lot of distraught on people doing research, because it's showing, XYZ keyword gets anywhere between 1,000 to 20,000 searches. It's like, oh, okay, what is it, 20,000 or 1,000, or is it 10,000? So it's starting to confuse people. Now it's getting to a point where you actually need a Google AdWords account, and you need to be spending a certain amount of money on the account every month to be able to actually see the exact volume. So people, Google's actually pushing people to use Google AdWords as much as possible. So that's actually, put a big damper on people using Keyword Planner to finding keywords and what the exact volume is.
I think it is a big challenge, and at first they're a little bit vague about the spend, but Andrew and I were talking earlier, and he said he's kind of heard a vague rumor that it has to be about $20 a day, which is a fair amount for a small business to spend. That's, on my reckoning, $600 a month, which is quite a lot. So, what do we think the alternatives are for small businesses who just don't have $600 a month to spend? I mean, I've been looking at SEM Rush. I have the SEM Rush tool, which is a great tool. Again, not particularly cheap, but a lot cheaper than $600. But I've noticed that even the data in there has got a little bit more vague as well. And keywordtool.io is another one that I love, but the data in there has got a bit vague as well. So what can we do?
It's actually becoming very, very tough, to be honest with you. I mean, look, the main thing that I would do straight off the bat is look for any friends or family that are using a Google AdWords tool or using Google AdWords on a regular basis to be able to see or to be able to use their account. That's the first thing I do. And if that doesn't prevail, there are tools like SEM Rush and lots of other tools that actually exist out there. I actually recently wrote a post on SEM Rush about 5 tools that you can actually use to do some research on different keywords. So check that out, guys. But SEM Rush is probably the main one that I'd use, but everything is getting a little bit vague. So I would just try and reach out to family and friends that have an account, and hopefully they don't mind giving you their username and password to the AdWords account to do some research on that. On the other side of things, I mean, if you really want to start pushing and advertising as much as you can, try and get up to that minimum dollar value on Google AdWords. I mean, it works. It's a little bit hard for small businesses, but I mean, there's not a huge amount of alternatives that you can actually use to find out what keywords, what the exact volume is for particular keywords at the moment. Do some normal research. Yeah, I mean, do some normal research, and it will give you a sort of a rough indication of how much search volume it gets for the time being. Which will be okay for now, but if you really want to get specific, I mean, look for a few of the options that I just mentioned.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing an episode soon, which is kind of a tool-free way to investigate keywords. So we'll cover that soon, but I'll include a link to Andrew's great blog post in the show notes for the show. So head to the website to check those out. But anyway, let's get stuck into the topic for today. So today we're talking about dodgy SEO tactics, kind of tricks that those naughty SEO types use that you might have heard about, sometimes known as black hat SEO. Now, Google is always looking out for people who are trying to game the system. And that's why it makes all those changes to its algorithm that annoy us so much. It's not doing it to annoy us, it's doing it to try and root out those dodgy people and improve the results for normal humans like us, for customers. And now the problem with some of these tactics is that they do sometimes work, or they have very short-term results where you boost up the rankings and everything looks wonderful, but then very quickly things go a bit bleak. You drop out of the rankings, and on some of these tactics you could actually receive a penalty from Google, which is not a fun experience. So how do we avoid these dodgy SEO tactics? The first step, of course, is knowing what they are and avoiding them so we don't get a smack on the bottom from Google. So let's get stuck in with our first dodgy SEO tactic. Dodgy SEO tactic number one, buying links. So you'll have seen on sites like Fiverr and Upwork, and even if you just type in buying links, there's lots of companies who offer link packages where you pay them a set amount and they say they guarantee to provide you 20 backlinks from amazing websites. And, you know, it looks like a great deal because we all know that backlinks are a powerful indicator of authority for our site. But is it a good deal? What do we think, Andrew? Good or bad?
I think it's completely bad. I mean, I see it time and time again. I probably get 4 or 5 calls a day from companies that have been burned in the past by using tactics such as, you know, buying links and stuff like that. So, I mean, we always have to think about what buying a link actually means. I mean, if you're buying 100 links or 20 links or 1,000 links or whatever that might be, why? You're not adding any value to another website for them to link back to you. So obviously the link you're getting off this other site is going to be very, very average. And at the end of the day, if you're buying a link and, you know, over time, it's going to be pulled off anyway. So the value that you're going to have is going to be very, very short-lived. But I guess most importantly, you know, you're buying a link, it's going to be an average link. It's not going to be a link posted on a great publication such as entrepreneur.com, Huffington Post or Forbes or whatever that might be. It's just not going to be listed on there. So it's going to be listed on a low quality site. So the chances of actually getting results is going to be very, very dismal. And also in saying that is that Google looks at something called a link velocity, which is how many other websites are linking back to you on a regular basis. And this needs to be completely natural. And they don't want to see 100 links pointing back to your site in a day. That doesn't make any sense, especially for small businesses. It makes, you know, zero sense at all. So something has to be built naturally and something has to be gained by providing an asset to another website that actually wants to link back to you. And if that's not the case, then Google is going to provide no importance to it.
Yes, I think there's a great way of thinking of it, that the harder the link is to get, probably the better the link is to have, you know? So you might put, you know, and I know that you guys at the agency put a lot of work into getting high quality links from, you know, large media like Sydney Morning Herald and things like that. And, you know, it's harder to get those kind of links. You have to work a bit harder, but they're much better value for your site. So that's a really good point, and the link velocity, great point as well. So let's go into number 2, dodgy SEO tactic number 2, and that's article submission. So this is when you submit an article to another site in the hope that they'll publish it and you'll get a backlink. Now, I think this causes a bit of confusion with lots of small businesses because on the one hand, we're told that article submission is bad, but then we're also told that guest posting can be a really great tactic. So let's explain the difference. Can you clarify for us?
Yeah, well, this is where I'm actually going to name and shame a website as an example. Article base is a good example that I can use. Any website that you can just go on a website, publish an article and they list it straight away is always going to be an issue. And websites such as Article Base provide that service. If you go on some of these sites and read the type of content that's actually getting published, it's actually really, really, really bad. It's terrible. So the quality content is bad. The site is publishing thousands of articles a day because people are just pushing articles. And then all of a sudden, you're getting a link back to your site. Is it good? No, because all of a sudden there's, you know, the quality of the article is terrible and it's you know, pushing so-called authority back to the site. But end of the day, if Google's looking at, you know, this big site and all they see is all these articles getting pushed out on a regular basis, you know, they're not going to pass much authority to it at all. So this is something that was used quite a few years ago and actually worked quite well by overseas companies that were doing SEO and online marketing. It really doesn't work anymore because anyone can post content for the sake of posting content, and you know, there is no real leverage, there's no real quality assurance or anything like that. So it's absolute crap.
I think, again, you know, guest posting is fantastic, but you should be doing it more to reach a new audience, to engage new people. And yeah, you get a backlink. That's almost a secondary concern. And again, you know, choose the sites that you post your wonderful content on carefully. They should have some kind of submission process, some kind of review process. And, you know, they should be coming back to you and saying, we like your post, but you could add this or you could improve this. That's the kind of post you want to be going for. Dodgy SEO tactic number 3. And I don't think people mean to be dodgy when they do this, but lots of people will come up with their domain name or their URL and they'll buy every possible iteration of it, you know, .net, .com, .co.uk, .com.au, and then all the odd ones like .sydney, .tv, hoping that they're gonna, by having all these domains, they're covering all their bases. And another thing that I've noticed businesses doing or thinking is a good idea is that they buy variations on a theme. So, you know, they're a window cleaner, they buy windowcleanersydney.com, windowcleanernewtown.com, and they point all these empty domains at their site. But that's not really going to achieve anything, is it, Andrew?
Not anymore. Back in the day, you could literally buy a website, you know, window cleaning Newtown if you wanted to rank in Newtown. Put a piece of content up there, and Google would, you know, pass a lot of authority because of the exact match domain, and it would work. Now you literally have to look at every single site as a separate business and a separate site. So it actually takes a lot of time. You'd actually have to build, you know, 10, 15, 20 pages of good quality content. You'd actually have to do separate SEO on every single site. So it'd be very, very different now than it would before. It passes no authority and it does basically nothing unless you want to put in a good amount of time and resources on each site.
I mean, I think it's good to buy a couple of domains to cover your bases. So, you know, it's always a good idea to buy .com and .com.au if you can. And, you know, there is an argument that maybe you buy other URLs to stop other people buying them. But gosh, there's a lot of extensions. If you're spending a lot of money, you have to weigh up whether you want to be spending $200 a month to cover all these domains that you've bought, or you're better off spending that on Google AdWords, I'd say, exactly. A second. So yes, dodgy SEO tactic number 3, or rather just not worth it SEO tactic number 3 is buying heaps and heaps of domains. Okay, so dodgy SEO tactic number 4 is Web 2.0s. And I think that a lot of our listeners will have absolutely no clue what we're talking about. So Andrew, do you want to explain what this is and why it's dodgy?
Yeah, look, a Web 2.0 is when you actually go buy another domain that's not an actual main domain. So, you know, you've got windowcleaning.com.au, then you have windowcleaning.com.au/WordPress or /Weebly or something that's an extension of the actual main domain that you can purchase from any one of those CMS platforms. And you can build a site on that. So a lot of people do it just to build a side blog or something along those lines. Something that was used many years ago in SEO, but not so much anymore.
So is it similar to the one we just talked about buying lots and lots of extensions?
Not necessarily. An extension would be, you know, windowcleaning.com or .com.au or .net or .sydney. That's an extension. Buying an actual domain that is owned by, you know, WordPress or Weebly or any one of those other CMS or proprietary CMS platforms that is still owned by them that you can use content on.
You see, I think all the things with all these tactics, they sound like such hard work. You can always tell they're dodgy. Like, I think if it feels dodgy, and you can probably tell that it is. And if you're trying to game the site for Google rather than thinking about your audience, then it's dodgy. I think that's the easiest way to differentiate. Does this make sense for my audience? Would they want me to do it? And if the answer is no, well, then it's probably not so great. Okay, next one. spam commenting. Now, this is when dodgy SEO tactic number 5, and this is when people go to blogs and they comment just for the sake of trying to get a backlink from the commenting. And this, again, seems crazy because most of those backlinks are no follow. Most of the tools like Discuss and Comment Love, all the tools, they have no follow links, so not any authority coming. So why do people do it? And why do people still do it if it doesn't work? Because I get heaps of spam comments on my blog.
You know what's funny is that all these methods that you're actually talking about is that, you know, we get a lot of emails on a daily basis from SEO companies. I want to do your SEO, blah, blah. They're all the same tactics again and again and again, because everything that you just said can be actually automated because it's rubbish. Now, spam commenting is actually a blast from the past. I've talked about spam commenting for a long time because it just doesn't work anymore. But it was a way to get a backlink from a site by commenting on someone's article, or, you know, the article or published article, whatever that might be, that, you know, that the site allowed it to. A lot of it was no follow, a lot of it was follow, but it was just crap because they used to put the exact match keyword in the subject header, and then they say, oh, great article about XYZ, and then in the subject there'd be about a completely different topic linking back to their site. It doesn't work anymore. It's something that unfortunately overseas companies do it cheaply still do, because once again, it can be automated, it can be done very, very quickly, but it adds no value to a site or to a user.
I think there's still value in commenting on blogs if you enjoyed the article. I think that's great. And also, you know, often if it's a great blog post and you're one of the first people to comment, well, then, you know, your comment will be read by lots of people as well, and that can be good for branding. And what I often like to do, it's not so much a conscious thing, but if you are trying to build a relationship with a site that you think maybe one day you'd quite like to guest blog on, commenting on their content can be a great way of getting them to know you before you then hit them with that request to publish your guest blog. So they go, oh, it's Andrew Razzo. Yeah, we've seen him. He's written some really good comments on our site. And I think, you know, when you're commenting, it's always good to add value. Like, don't just say great post. Say, great post. In my experience, I actually found that this worked as well. So you're actually adding to the article, not just going, you're awesome.
Yeah, exactly right. As you know, I publish on a lot of big publications and a lot of big sites, and people comment all the time and they go, "Oh, I really liked XYZ," or "I don't like that about what you talked about." And that's good. You know what I mean? That I can comment back. I can change my article, whatever that might be, and so that helps. Unlike just posting something for the sake of posting something.
Okay, well, we're nearly done because we're only covering 6 dodgy SEO tactics today. We might have to do another episode and cover another 6. But our final dodgy SEO tactic for today is exact match link building. Andrew, take it away. Why is this good, bad, and how does it work?
Another blast from the past, exact match link building. Okay, so exact match link building is all about, well, when you're posting content on another website and you're wanting to get a link back to your website, the keyword that you have to click to get to the other site has the exact keyword that you're trying to rank for, or you're trying to target. So in talking about, window cleaning, the link would be window cleaning Sydney, or window cleaning Melbourne, or window cleaning Newtown. Now, you also have to think about that, why would someone make the clickable text window cleaning Sydney? It makes no sense whatsoever. So 4, 5, 6 years ago, people used to just spam that and make 10 articles saying window cleaning Sydney, window cleaning Sydney, window cleaning Sydney, and Google allowed that site to actually rank. Now, not so much. Big publications don't allow, in some cases, don't even allow to link back to your site, but when they do link back to your site, it's a click here to visit this website. Here's the source for where we found this image. The main brand online marketing gurus are coming to you as an example. So it's all about making it seem as natural as possible. Exact match link building doesn't work anymore, and you want to vary it up as much as you can if you have the capability to do so. Obviously, it's the webmaster that you're getting the link off, or you're getting pointed back to your site at the end of the day. But exact match link building is sort of completely finished now. And a lot of sites did get penalized pretty bad by doing it.
These days, it's more around wrapping that link around the name of your business, or the name of the author, or actually the naked URL, whatever. And I think if you're worried that this is something that that's happened to you. So you've used maybe a dodgy SEO company and like thinking, wow, I wonder if they did that. There are tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush where you can actually have a look at your anchor text profile and see what kinds of words are driving links back to your site. And if they're all about what you do rather than who you are, then that's not so good. You want a nice balance. I mean, of course, there might be 1 or 2 window cleaner Sydneys, that's fine. But if every single link is window cleaner Sydney, that's not good. And in a future episode, I'm going to talk about negative SEO. And negative SEO happened to me, which wasn't fun. And this was exactly what they did. They tried to skew my anchor text profile so it would all be wrapped around copywriter Sydney to try and get me slapped on the bottom by Google. Thankfully, it didn't work, but it wasn't a fun experience. But we'll cover that in a future episode. So let's recap. We had buying links, dodgy. Article submission, for the sake of it, dodgy. Buying multiple domains, pointless and dodgy. Web 2.0's, dodgy. Spam commenting, dodgy, but worthwhile if you're going to actually add value and be the first commenter, and then exact link building. Is there anything else? Any other dodgy thing that you want to slip in towards the end, Andrew, to help our listeners?
There literally is so many. Probably another one would be press releases on user's website. Obviously, a good press release is all well and good. Press releases is very, very average. But just keep in mind that at the end of the day, you want to be adding value to another website. You want to be adding value to a website, whether it's providing with a content, a video, whatever that might be. You want to be adding value to another website for them to, for them to link back to you. And that's always very, very important. So if you're not adding value to another site, why would they want to link back to you? And that goes for big sites, that goes for small sites, that goes for basically anyone. Add value to someone, and then they'll link back to you. And that's always very, very important.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. If we want to find out more about you and also the company you work for, where should we head to?
So I have my personal website, which is andrewrasso.com. I have my business website, which is onlinemarketinggurus.com.au. Feel free to hit me up on any of my social channels, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I'm more than happy to have a chat.
We'll include links to all of those in the show notes, so you can get in touch with Andrew on Twitter, LinkedIn, or all of those, and also check out some of his articles, which I'll include in the show notes as well. And Andrew, I'd love to have you back for a future episode. Maybe we can handle that keyword research topic that we talked about, and help some more listeners. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. No worries. Thanks, Kate.
My name's Kate Toon, and you've been listening to the Recipe for SEO Success show. I'd like to finish up today by reading out one of the fab reviews I've received for this podcast on iTunes. Today's review is from Gemma Horden, and Gemma says, Kate interviews some extremely well-known international and local SEO and content marketing gurus. She asks the types of questions I need as a copywriter to keep up to date with the latest practices so I can give the right advice to my clients and produce content that really delivers. Thank you, Gemma, for your lovely review. And thanks to you for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating or review on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Your review will help others find this podcast and learn more about the wonders of search engine optimization. You can also head over to my website at www.therecipeforseosuccess.com.au to read the show notes for this episode and get links to all the tools and resources mentioned. And finally, if you're on Facebook, please feel free to come and join my I Love SEO Facebook group. And if you haven't already, don't forget to check out my other podcast, hosted with the lovely Belinda Weaver. It's a copywriting podcast for copywriters, and it's called the Hot Copy Podcast. Thanks again, and happy SEOing.